All right, let's jump in. Let's jump in for the nice people who are tuning in for the market report. I'm going to start spelling it MARK with a capital ET for it's because it's a little market report. And jumping in, looking at what's going on in the Austin, Texas market, we have 9,471 homes for sale, Mark. 60% of all inventory for sale in Austin, Texas is $500,000 or more right now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's okay. Wait, say that again. Just let's repeat that.
9,471 homes are currently active on the Austin MLS.
Yep.
60% of those houses, which is as a number is 5,747 of them, are listed at $500,000 or more.
So what are you, I mean, you boots on the ground, what are your thoughts in and of itself, with just that being said?
Our market is solid. I broke it down. I went further. I looked at, I was really interested in what was happening between the 500 to a million range.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's indicative of a lot of things. And right now we have 45.5% of the entire market falls between 500,000 and a million.
So there's a lot.
45% of all homes in Austin, Texas fall between 500 and a million. And then when I look above that at like what's happening between the million to say 5 million range, again, there's like, let's see, 700, 800, 9,000. There's about 1,300 that fall between a million and 5. Austin market's solid right now.
And that's the thing is we now have this available inventory, right?
Yep.
But we've got a lot of uncertainty out there, and we have a lot of buyers that are literally just balking, right? And so I'm seeing literally the entire array of both like the psychological effects of everything that's going on, and then the actual physical effects in our ability to actually win offers, which is like my favorite part, right? Like, I don't know about you, but house hunting, like that's like my second least favorite thing to house moving. My third least thing is what I do, which is house financing. But like that part of what was going on 2020, 21, that was brutal of just being well qualified, potentially overqualified, putting in unbelievably good offers and not even getting a counter. And now today we've got, I guess I keep putting you on the spot here over these market updates, but like what percent increase is that inventory that we have today in Austin relative to, let's say, last September in 2020?
Oh, I'd have to pull that. Let me take a look, but it's,
while you do that,
I mean, last year we didn't even have 2,000 houses for sale at this. I mean, it's obviously it's.
And so like there's, you and I hear the good in that, right? And like,
oh my gosh, all day.
There's actually the ability to move this inventory. A lot of people are like, I'm talking to people that are very fearful, and I can sense it as soon as we get on the phone. And it's crazy how different that dynamic is right now.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Before people were like, I'm waiting. I'm not going to get into, the fray of a bidding war. And now I'm waiting because interest rates are up or inflation is up, or, I mean, Friday was just the announcement. So let's just go in that direction. Let's talk about what's happening now with inflation and the impact that it's having, and that what you're seeing on your side of the table.
So inflation is moving everything, but it's not even necessarily our local inflation. It's not even necessarily at this point just inflation. It's the fact that inflation is driving recession fears all over. The US dollar is very much going up relative to the euro. It passed the 1-to-1 exchange rate for the first time in God knows how long this past week. All of that is really just signs of uncertainty and volatility.
Mhm.
And whenever that happens, investors do what investors do, which is they safeguard their money, right?
Sure.
And so right now, that's really the theme that's going on around the globe. And
Yep.
so today, we're recording this Monday the 6th. We've had another negative day in the interest rate world. We've actually gotten back to what we had as our worst levels this year back in June, in that 6.25% range.
Mhm.
Really, I've been looking at it and thinking through it, and really what I'm seeing is it's money's coming out of the market and it's just sitting in the sidelines. And as opposed to it flowing into the mortgage-backed security market like it typically would when the stock markets and the international markets are down, investors right now are just holding their money. And so we're literally seeing mortgage-backed securities come down to their worst levels since June. I'm foreseeing that really we kind of we're going to reestablish this as both a bottom for mortgage-backed securities, but then also a peak for interest rates. We've got the Fed meeting coming up this month. We've got a lot of news coming up, and like always, I was reading just before we got on, Jennifer. Last week we had another what we thought was a big jobs report come out.
Yep.
Which is inflationary because we have like the lowest unemployment levels, and I'm saying it with whatever they're called. But I got a report earlier today looking deeper at last Friday's jobs report. 82% of the gains was in the 16 to 19-year-old demographic. Full-time employees lost 230,000 jobs, showing that all the gain was in part-time employment. When factoring this in along with the 100,000 in negative revisions, it was not as strong as headlines would make you believe. And it looks like a lot more like the ADP employer employment report, which I put out. I was thinking about putting out this post on social media the other week. It's really hard being a patriot and a mortgage banker right now. Like every report and headline, the stronger they are, like the patriot in me is like, yeah, like America, economy, we're doing great. And then the mortgage banker in me is like, no, inflationary, like it's going to hurt our mortgage rates. It's going to impact my way of living, right? And so it's been a difficult world to live in recently, but I'm glad I've got kind of the economic background. I've got the resources I've got in place to really help navigate with buyers. There were a lot of buyers that we specifically reached out to that said, you've got to get this property because things are going to be looking worse in this next couple of weeks. With that being said, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, we're all foreseeing mortgage rates to come down end of 2022 Q4, and then also potentially early 2023. If not by then, it's really by Q2 of 2023. We're going to be back into like that 4.5% to 5% range. And we just got to get in there or get through this, get into these houses, lock up these appreciation that's coming. And then that's really where the power is going to be in home ownership, is down the line when you can really take advantage of the asset you've got and then be able to reduce the cost of living.
For people who are planning to live in Austin, when we look at the rates with the mortgages and we look at the values of the houses and paying for your own mortgage versus paying a landlord, what do we always say? You date the rate, you marry the house.
We do say that, but at the end of the day, what I've been saying since the beginning is your rent is 100% interest. So
100% interest.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the rate is for the house. It's what are you able to get with your monthly affordability? And if you can get something out there, and clearly you have more options today than you did 6, 9, 12 months ago, then you've got to go and take advantage of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Jennifer, I talked to somebody on Friday, and this poor lady, like I just feel terrible, but She's 62 going on 63. She sold her house 10 years ago. And it was because of people's advice, because of the market. And she's been renting for 10 years. And she's currently too fearful of the market crashing. Last year, 2 years ago, she was afraid because everybody was overbidding. This year, she's afraid because interest rates are higher and it's not a seller's market. But even when it's a seller's market, then she's going to be scared because now it's not a good buyer's market. And we just kept going back and forth. But once you enter into a state of fear and you no longer live by like, I'm going to determine what I want and what I need, and I'm going to go out and get it.
Yep.
You start letting the world dictate everything to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you get into 10 years of renting. And I mean, that is literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in expense with nothing to show for it. And that just, it breaks my heart.
Yeah. And what happens next, Mark, is that she runs through her money and never has the home ownership and the equity down the road to look after herself.
Right. And I guess that brings up a good point, because it's the cost of waiting for some of these buyers is staggering.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that 10-year, I never even ran the analysis because it's just, my mind already knew how bad it was.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the amount, the cost of waiting is not just the amount you're paying in rent. It's the amount you would have lost or you would have gained in appreciation, plus the amount you would have paid down on your loan. And so it's a triple whammy, right?
Yeah.
And so we're looking at like 18 months being $60,000 in some cases still, because of the way that the market is still moving. And so I think from my perspective, I know a lot of what moves real estate is emotional, and like family and kids and what's going on with the current home and why it doesn't meet the needs.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that part. The numbers part is what I just know, right?
Yeah.
And so when I look at the numbers for the average family, the way that I've phrased it is, the future you is going to be mad at you today. And so it's really, you've got to do what's in your best interest. And we all need a roof over our head. And they're not making that many more in Austin. And so it's time to get yours. That's kind of where I'm at today.
Absolutely. It's, they say, that phrase, don't wait to buy real estate and wait. And the phrase lives on because the reality is take that lady, for example, in the last 10 years, what her house could have earned her if she did nothing but pay down her own note. So I feel for her tremendously. And I hope that there is a way for her to move past it so that she can have her economic best interests at heart. And with that in mind, Mark, last week we talked about buying down the rate.
And I'm glad we did, because in today's market, you're kind of going to have to, whether you want to or not, and whether I want you to or not. Going back to kind of what we just talked about with the market and rates coming up, and the reality, which is the market's expectation that they come down in the relatively short term.
Yep.
There really aren't very many good options to get a rate where you're not paying points, right? And so that's going to change. That's going to evolve. The concept that I wanted to bring up to you is an evergreen concept. It's something that really, it's been around forever in a way. It's just really not utilized until we enter into markets like we are in today. And so I guess to take a step back, recap discount points. Okay. Basically, there's typically the rate that somebody's going to be able to pay or get, without them paying money to get that rate. And so they're going to have their regular down payment. They're going to have their regular closing costs. They're not paying money to get that interest rate, right? then what they're able to do is they're able to pay money called discount points. It's basically an additional cost at closing to get a lower rate. The idea is lower rate, lower payment, lower payment, more out of pocket, right? That's the trade-off.
Sure.
They can typically do the opposite. They can take a relatively higher rate. The lender gives them money towards their closing costs, higher rate, higher payment, less out of pocket, right? That's in a perfect world. In today's world where we know everything that's going on, and I kind of recap briefly for you in as much English as I could, we know that we're doing mortgages for 30 years, right?
Yep.
Investors are buying a 30-year interest of that mortgage. That's how the whole system works. If we all know whoever is buying today is going to refinance relatively soon, there's really no money in it for the investor, right? Why are they going to buy that mortgage-backed security? And so what really is going on is even with the highest qualifications, there's some level of discount points being charged,
Yep.
or else there is no pricing available. And so not only that, trying to go relatively higher rate than the market to get that money towards closing costs, that's literally off the table as of today.
So
Now,
yeah, so listen, if you're watching and you are thinking about buying down your points and investigating that, or just educating yourself right now to become a buyer, put a note in the comments below. We would love to hear what you're thinking about your strategy right now as the market continues to kind of bounce along as we are waiting for the September announcement.
yeah. And the thing with points, right? And the thing with cost, the thing that I hate with cost is it's cost, right? And like you can't get it back. And so what we've been introducing to a lot of buyers, a lot of agents, and really helping sellers and buyers be able to come to an agreement is working out what is called a temporary buy down.
Okay.
And so with discount points, it's a permanent buy down. Whatever money you pay, you get that rate, and it is what it is. That's it forever, right? With a temporary buy down, it turns that cost of what it would be to get that lower interest rate, it turns it from refundable to refundable based on a matter of time. The matter of time is the most important matter right now. And so it's called a 2-1 buy down. And so let's use kind of easy round numbers, right? Let's say the market rate that somebody can get is 6% today, 6.0. For the first 12 months, their effective payment is going to be based on 4.0.
Okay.
The following 12 months, meaning 12 to 24 months of in that loan, in that home, it's going to be 1% less, meaning it's going to be 5%. That amount that somebody would pay less between month 12 and or between month 0 and 24, that is the amount that somebody would pay at closing to take advantage of this temporary buy down.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you need to be sitting on some cash though.
Yes. You also need to have a really good agent and a really good lender to not only help bring this into your worldview, but then also pitch and convert the seller into taking that as a good option for them, right? With discount points, it's not a 1-for-1 cost on return or return on cost, right? With a temporary buy down, the amount you will have in a payment reduction is the amount you pay at closing, right? And so really the way that it works on the back end is let's just say it's $15,000 that somebody would pay less between month 0 and month 24. They pay that $15,000 to the lender. That lender goes ahead and applies every month out of that $15,000 the amount that the payment is for the fixed rate 6% loan, right?
Got it.
And so if a refinance opportunity comes along, or if somebody for one reason or another wants to sell their home and they're on month 12, month 18, whatever amount that hasn't been applied, that's just going to get refunded directly back to them. And so with a lot of my clients, being able to explain what's going on today, what's coming down the pike in the near future, we're opting a lot more often than not into looking at these temporary buy downs, knowing that if that refinance opportunity doesn't come along, we haven't wasted any money.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. See, and this is why understanding the value of a good lender is key if you are considering becoming a buyer in the Austin, Texas market.
There's an old saying, you don't know what you don't know, right? And so I would recommend for anybody listening, anybody watching, allow yourself to not know what you don't know. Get the experts in your life. Jennifer and I would both love to help you. But if we're not in your state, we're not in your market, get with us. We've got wide networks. We'll connect you with somebody local that's trusted, that's vetted, that's looking out for your best interest.
Absolutely. That is one of the things, as you know, that I pride myself in is having a network of exceptional professionals across the country and beyond. So, with that said, speaking of exceptional professionals, Mark Koretsky of Mortgage
Movement.
Movement, it is a pleasure. It's wait, Movement Mortgage. I can't get it.
It's Movement Mortgage.
It's a tongue twister.
It's
Mark
late.
Koretsky,
Tuesday.
Movement Mortgage. It has
Late.
been a pleasure. By the way, my name is Jennifer S. Goodman. I'm a realtor here in Austin, Texas. And Mark and I are here every week. We're just going to chop it up, talk a little bit about what is happening in the market in Austin, Texas. And so we're not calling it a market, we're calling it a market because we have Mark here and it's just a tiny sliver of what is happening. And we are looking at inflation, we're looking at the impact of our economy, we're looking at affordability, we're looking at mortgage rates, we're looking at all of the things in terms of what can affect you if you are looking to buy or sell or invest in the Austin, Texas market in this case. And I thank you for your time tonight, Mark.
You are very welcome. I'm glad you got me out of my little low blood sugar earlier. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad I was able to bring some sort of energy to you. And I'm looking forward to doing these earlier in the day next time.
All right, you are on. And here's to you getting another peanut butter and honey sandwich in you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Thank you.